Colorado's gubernatorial candidate pool grew this week as Arapahoe County District Attorney George Brauchler announced his intention to run for the Republican nomination. Subsequently, on the Democratic side, U.S. Representative Ed Perlmutter hinted at also joining the governor's race in a media release, teeing up an announcement that he'll make on Sunday. Meanwhile, first quarter finance reports show that Democratic candidate Mike Johnston has already raised $625,000 in campaign funds to date. David, and all of this comes on the heels that we think we're going to get an announcement from Cary Kennedy on Monday. So clearly the Democrats have a crowded field. The Republicans were expecting Walker Stapleton to join George Brauchler. Which is going to be the bloodiest primary?
On the Democratic side, I think, because of Brauchler, and there are other candidates who we haven't mentioned who are working to get known, and they might have a chance to catch fire. But I heard Brauchler on KLZ on Wednesday. He was very well spoken. He's a formidable candidate. He knows the issues, knows what he wants to talk about, and has a strong and very appealing vision. So he may well almost clear the field on his side. On the Democratic side, you've got three, but just among the ones you mentioned, very well qualified candidates. I think Mike Johnston is probably the most centrist, but Ed Perlmutter has a fantastic record of winning elections in a swing district, partly because of his family ties to the district. That's a important thing for Congress. I mean, there's lots of Republicans who said, I live in this district, I'd like to run, but no one will ever beat Ed Perlmutter. So the fact that that's going to be open in 2018 means a lot. Probably 2018 is a good year for the Democrats to have hopes of retaining it, because it's the off cycle for an incumbent president. And Cary Kennedy also well regarded as very intelligent and capable. So you've got three powerhouses on that side. Perlmutter's the most senior and experienced of them, and certainly has the ability and enjoyment of ripping out his opponent's lungs in races and getting pretty harsh, sometimes more so than the facts might really support. But it's going to be we're blessed to have four such high-quality candidates. Regardless of what you think of their views, they're all extremely capable.
I agree at one point. Ed Perlmutter does enjoy campaigning. My dream matchup has always been to see Mike Kaufman and Ed Perlmutter have to go in a statewide, because that is a battle royale I think we would enjoy watching, but I don't think we're going to see this time. Eric, first of all, I know you shook your head as soon as you heard David say Brauchler might clear the field. So we have the Republican side of things and a crazy Democratic side of things. We have Michael Johnston. There were some reports about breaking records with that fundraising mark. You have Ed Perlmutter clearly not scared of that. Cary Kennedy not scared. Jared Polis probably weighing his options at this point, but even it's just that three people, that's big. Not to dismiss, I think, is Noel Ginsburg, who's looking to do it. Looking at these two primaries right now, what are your thoughts?
I don't think anyone's going to clear any fields. There's no Cory Gardner in the race that is going to part the waters and have other people drop out. Walker Stapleton has been angling for this governor's race for a long time. I think you're going to have a classic Republican race between sort of the insider, the 17th Street insider, incumbent state treasurer, and Walker Stapleton. George Brauchler, who can also be an insider, but he's going to wear the outsider clothing all the way. I think Brauchler perhaps enjoys some advantages there, but in terms of whether anyone is going to be, either primary is going to be more civil than the other, I don't know that either of them are going to be terribly civil, but I would never bet against the Republicans getting down and dirty, just given the nature of some of the players in that party. Any party that houses Dudley Brown can probably be assured of a fairly down and dirty primary wherever the Dudley Browns of the world end up on this. I think the other really noteworthy thing is the level of talent in this race. We've had other gubernatorial elections in the state where maybe one party has an interesting primary or one party has a deep talent pool, but not both parties at the same time. Here you get the sense both parties have a deep bench, a deep talent pool, and very capable, not only capable potential governors, but capable candidates and politicians. It's going to be wild. Let it get going.
Natasha, when it came to the presidential campaign last year, Bernie did really well in Colorado. I'm not sure if we have the typical Bernie Democrat, but we certainly had a lot of feel-the-burn energy. Are the Democratic candidates in this gubernatorial primary going to need to tap into some of that to be successful in a competitive field?
Well, one of the things that I think is interesting about this race is that it's been a long time since we've tested this position on a statewide level. And meanwhile, Colorado has truly changed, whether it's sort of feel the burn, but the number of people who've entered the state, this question of, are we truly purple? Are we somewhere in between? Will we sway back and forth? Those are unknowns that I think are going to be more cemented, or at least more firmed up with this particular race. One of the things I find interesting as I'm looking at the field on both sides is you have a lot of experience. Some of that is political, some of that is in different sectors. But there's not a ton of comparisons between them. They stand out in different ways. What, for me, is actually the common theme among them is that they're very front range focused. They're very, in particular, Denver Metro focused. And this is a statewide position. So while the old maxim of you have to win the Western Slope doesn't hold true in the same way that it once did, you still have to win the state. So we'll see how these candidates really reach out to other parts of the state, whether that's the Slope or whether that's the Eastern Plains. You know, any corner of this state has to be involved in this election, and it's critical to how they would then govern at the Capitol. So this is their chance to pull together that support. Let's see if any of them can do it.
Patty, among the Democrats we know about right now, the big names, you have Mike Johnston breaking records with fundraising. You have Ed Perlmutter, who is a fierce campaigner and has done well in a closely balanced district. And you have Cary Kennedy, who has won statewide when she ran for treasurer. Who has the advantage?
I think it's too early to tell. It's interesting that Mike Johnston jumped in even when people still thought Ken Salazar was going to run, and he wanted to get that lead in fundraising, so it looks like he is a strong candidate. But with the other two are great candidates too. I mean, they're good debaters, they're smart. Any one of the three of them would be good governors. I don't think we're done seeing who is coming in the Republican Party either, so that we could have more than two strong candidates there. We're still hearing the name Cynthia Kaufman, so we could have just this amazing array of talent compared to, say, to the senatorial race last year, where the Republicans definitely had a paucity of that. So we're kind of looking at the next generation of leaders who, if they don't win this round, might still come back again.